First of all, Tracy-Ann, can I ask about your reaction to the hostage releases? I know that you've got relatives and friends in Israel.
Well, it's too little too late. There are very few hostages who've been released. I think Hamas are carrying on with a terror approach, which is to psychologically torture, I think, the families and the state of Israel by drip feeding these hostages out. There's still so many children, babies of 9 months old being kept. There was a little girl who lost her entire family. She turned 4 in one of the Hamas hostage tunnels. We need to get all those hostages back. And I think that the way that Hamas are using this drip feed of these terrorists out is really even further upsetting as to the attack.
This afternoon's march is not really about the Middle East itself. It is about, I think, the situation here. Explain why you're speaking at it, what the point of it is.
Okay, so as a member of the Jewish community, I'm an actress and a writer first and foremost, and I'm doing a play at the moment set at the Battle of Cable Street, which was a moment when the Jewish community felt very isolated and very alone, when Oswald Mosley and his British Union of Fascists, fully supported by the mounted police and the sort of establishment, marched on the Jewish entity at Cable Street. And my great-grandmother...
That's in the East End of London.
That's in the East End of London. And the Jewish community felt so alone and desperate. And unbelievably, it was a civil rights moment in this country when all the working class communities, the Afro-Caribbean, the Somalian sailors, the dockers, the unionists, ordinary heroes from all over the country came and said, if you come for the Jews, you come for us. And they stood together and they said, you shall not pass. And those were the stories that I was brought up with, this incredible moment. And I think since, there has always been anti-Semitism, and this country has a very difficult, they don't often understand what anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish hatred is. And since the terrible attack from Hamas before Israel had even retaliated, anti-Semitic incidents had gone up by 300%. So there is something really deeply rooted in the psyche of this country somewhere that is allowing this anti-Semitism, this vernacular. Jewish kids can't go to school with any insignias. So today's march is about saying that we stand with our Jewish community because, as Rabbi Sachs, the great late Rabbi Sachs always said, any country that allows Jew hate to flourish under its watch, it's a virus because all other sicknesses will follow.
Let's remind everybody that nobody, I suppose, who is talking about Hamas is conflating Hamas with all Palestinians.
Absolutely.
I know that that's the point. But just coming back to a specific point about this march, I was talking to two leading politicians, Darren Jones for Labour and Laura Trott for the Conservatives, and neither of them was willing to say that they, if they were able to, had time and so on, would go on this march.
It's really upsetting. I mean, really upsetting. This is a march showing solidarity with a community in this country, this great country that is multicultural and multiracial and that has always stood for tolerance. It is really upsetting that leading politicians cannot turn up just to show solidarity with a very small community that gives a lot to this country, that feels very alone, very isolated, very traumatised and very under siege. People define for us what is anti-Semitic. They define the language for us. You know, Trevor, how it is as a black man to be told what you should and shouldn't find threatening and what you should and shouldn't find racist. As a community, we know what is anti-Semitic. So to be told by lots of people what is and isn't is very insulting and also quite offensive. And so to have leading politicians to allow this Jew hatred to flourish under their watch without being able to show any solidarity feels very depressing.
Well, I want to ask you about that because you talk about the trauma and so on, but to be fair, this is not a violent country. There are incidents reported. What is it that actually is the problem here?
What do you... I mean, let me put it back to you. I mean, you're not blind.
What is it that... you say the Jewish community feels fear, traumatised and so on. What exactly is that about? How do you experience that?
I experienced that. I heard a story of a girl in Oxfordshire recently, a friend of a friend. She was the only Jewish girl in the school and she had her hair set fire to, 14, had to have it all shaved off. Everybody I know whose children are going to Jewish schools at the moment have been told that they cannot wear their blazers, which has got a Jewish insignia. Children and adults have been told to remove their Star of David. If you're not visibly Jewish, you've been told that's better. People I know are taking their mezuzahs off their doors. When we hear the words jihad and from the river to the sea, we know what that means. Other people cannot tell us what that means. We know what that means when it comes in conflation with Jews and Israel. We absolutely understand.
But you know that some people who say that don't think it means that.
But we know what it means because we have experienced it, and it's a debate to be had. But I think also the vernacular that is being used around the Jewish community. The play I did the other night has got nothing to do with Israel. And a very well-known actress came up after us and said, I enjoyed the play very much. But, it's really very sad to see what your people are doing and your homeland. And I said, well, my homeland is England and my people come from Camden Lock. So I don't know what you're talking about. It's that level
What do you think was going on there?
Well, I think it's a very old school progressive left sort of attitude as well towards Jews. They can't see anti-Semitism. There's a blind spot to it.
Well, why do you feel that that's anti-Semitism? Because she might just be thinking, Tracy-Ann's my friend.
Oh, I never met her before.
Okay.
But I had admired her a lot. Look, I don't see how you could go... Look, it's the conflation, isn't it? You come and see a version of the Merchant of Venice set in Cable Street in 1936, and your automatic assumption is to somehow link it into the terrible situation between Israel and Hamas at the moment. And the terrible... this is terrible. Everybody wants peace. Nobody wants to see civilian deaths on either side. It's horrific, but it's been a huge trauma for the Jewish community to have so many children, so many rapes, so many atrocities of people that we know, and to see a world almost stand by and wait before condemning or coming down on it. And there has been a huge rise of anti-Semitic incidents. Trevor, how would you define anti-Semitism?
Well, I know what Jew hatred looks like, but I just want to give you the opportunity to say something about what you've been experiencing recently in your tour. You're touring the Merchant of Venice. It's set in 1936. Cable Street and so on. What have you learned from the reaction of audiences?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I'm the first female Shylock, and we've been travelling all around the country from the Royal Shakespeare Company, from Cable Street, Wilton's onwards. This has given me hope and heart, and it has to a lot of my community. It is a complete sellout. We've gone to places like Malvern and High Wycombe and York, where there aren't massive Jewish communities.
But York did have...
They did, but they got rid of them. I know. Yeah. I did a lovely thing at Clifford's Tower there. We've had completely sold-out audiences. People have wanted to stay behind and talk. I've been using the play with Stand Up to Racism to go into schools. I've been doing Q&As. There is such solidarity and such love and a desire to understand the Jewish community, which has really heartened me and has made me think that, it's going to be all right. So if any Jewish people and their allies are out there panicking by feeling so alone and isolated, from what I'm seeing and experiencing on the ground through this play, we have a lot of people that understand us, that love us, and do support us and stand with us.
Tracy-Ann, an optimistic note to end our conversation on.
I hope so. Be nice to see a few more politicians down there today, though.